Tyler Cauble, don't buy apartments, buy this instead.
You know, it's funny, after my last video, don't waste your time buying apartments, I got a lot of comments. Stuff like, retail is risky, flex spaces sit empty, industrial tenants can hurt my feelings too. And look, I get it. If you've spent any time around real estate investing, you've probably been told that apartments are the safest, surest path for you to get financial freedom. But what if that isn't true anymore?
Yeah, listen, I'll just tell you right there. Anything can sink you. Anything. You can ruin yourself buying retail. Look at Ben Malla. Ben Malla, I think he just sold a Lowe's for, I think, $2 million less than he paid for it, or some market over there. He paid too much relative to the interest rate. The problem is he didn't refi, didn't get his interest rate, didn't fix it when he should have several years back. And so when it came up for adjustment, put him in a bind, and he ended up selling a property for less than he paid for it. And then the double whammy is that some of that, it would appear that he had done a 1031. So now he had to go back and he had to pay his gains on a profit that he'd realized many years before that. So anything can be a bad investment. I'm interfering with them or interrupting them right now because you can't really say one is better than the other. Now, I do have some strong opinions about why I prefer retail and industrial over apartments, and I'll get into that. Let's listen to what he has to say.
At least not right now. What if chasing multifamily right now could actually be the thing that is holding you back? Because here's the reality. You're not walking into a gold mine when you buy apartments today. You're diving into the reddest of red oceans. It's over.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to tell you right there, that is not true. If you're a retail buyer, if you're not a sophisticated buyer, if you just simply buy, I'm going to buy in this with the anticipation of speculation, you're already doomed, okay? You're never going to get rich fast, I can tell you right now.
Overcrowded, overpriced, and oversold. And the biggest myth of all, the one almost every new investor falls for, more doors equals more freedom. If you just buy enough duplexes, triplexes, or apartment units, then you'll finally have that passive income lifestyle. The one where you wake up whenever you want, you travel the world with your family, and you live stress-free. Yeah, except it rarely plays out that way.
Listen, it just depends on what you pay for it. You can buy apartments and you can live like a king. Man, I know a guy that is ultra wealthy. He has 1,800 apartments. He owns them outright along the waterfront in New York City, okay? I'm not gonna say who he is, but ultra wealthy man. Is no bad real estate. There's just bad deals. So don't let anybody tell you that one kind of property is better than another. They each has its advantages in different ways. But the bottom line is, the only thing that ruins a piece of property is that you paid too much for it. You can have apartments, you can have C-grade apartments, but guess what? As long as there's management in place, and as long as there's a budget to take care of the problem, it's all relative to the price you pay for it. So don't let anybody talk you out of anything. Let's keep watching.
I've seen it firsthand in my own portfolio and with the hundreds of investors that I've worked with. You don't build real freedom by stacking doors. You build real freedom by owning the right assets. The ones that actually pay you without eating all of your time, draining you of all your energy, and taking away your peace of mind. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. We're going to break down what I'm buying instead of apartments, the exact numbers, and why this path, while it's way less crowded, has completely outperformed multifamily for me, for my students, and for other smart investors out there who are just tired of fighting over scraps. And if you stay to the end, I'm also going to introduce you to a few folks like Ryan, Marcus, and Ron, who have pivoted away from apartments completely and transformed their investment portfolios and their lives. So let's dive in. All right, so let's talk about one of the real deals that I am working on right now, a 105-unit self-storage facility in Madison, Tennessee. We raised capital from our investors and bought it for $1.7 million earlier this year, and here's why this deal stood out. First off, we bought it at a price where the cash flow makes sense from day one. Not based on some crazy pro forma, like a lot of apartments, not based on praying for rent growth, like a lot of apartments, actual cash in the bank. Plus, we had some vacancy that we could go and fill on top of all of that. Now, when we took it over, occupancy was around 58%. We had some rough spots to clean up, for sure. 7 delinquent units, deferred maintenance, no real systems in place for rent collection. But here's the thing, this wasn't that complicated. It wasn't about adding granite countertops or hoping for $300 rent bumps like you'd have to do in the apartment world. It was basic operational fixes. We got the rent rolls transitioned over. We started automating payments. So simple. We began the legal process to auction off delinquent units. And within 60 days, we were already on track to push occupancy over 80% without lifting a hammer or spending a fortune. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, very profitable.
So I'll just tell you right now, you think apartments are bad? The storage business is much worse. Now, maybe he's got a magic formula. I can tell you, I hate the storage business. 80 tenants renting something the size, smaller than a garage. There's a lot of nuisance that comes along with that. There's a lot of things that you can't control. They're the number one break-ins of all things, of all storage. When it comes to storage, you go to a storage and you will see 30, 40 security cameras on a fairly small storage center. And the reason is they're so cheaply built, number one. You don't even have to cut the locks. You can cut the hasp that contains the locks. They're so easy to break into. The theft is through the roof. The break-ins are through the roof. It's a nightmare business, and I can only imagine what the insurance looks like, to be honest, on those on storage. We'll keep going.
The best part of that is that this facility isn't just throwing off solid cash flow, it's giving us real options for the future. Because once we stabilize it at that higher occupancy, we've got multiple exit strategies. We could refinance and pull some cash out, we could sell it for a higher cap rate, or we could just keep it and cash flow it with very little management needed on a day-to-day basis. Compare that to buying a Class C.
Yeah, so here's the deal. You're going to need a manager. Imagine having to contact people to collect rent on 80. I have tenants. One tenant takes $3 or $4 million building or $3 or $4 million space within a structure that I have. One call, one tenant to collect from. A lot of people don't realize, I think Ben said he had 800 employees between, he's not just in the real estate business. Ben Molly, he's in the hotel business. He has an engine. He has a business. He has something that actually is a job, is work, and he knows how to manage that stuff, and he has people that manage those things. So whether you have 100 units like he's talking about with this, or you have the same, you could have the same thing. You could have 300 storage units. Guess what? You still got to have an office. You still got to maintain hours. People to have access. Let's keep watching.
Apartment complex right now where you're probably paying close to a 5% cap rate, you're managing 100, sometimes very angry tenants, fielding maintenance calls, and praying that insurance rates just don't go up again. That's not freedom, at least not to me. That is another job with more risk baked in. With this self-storage facility that I'm building real wealth quietly without.
I can show you on a whiteboard, and I'll explain some of the beauty. I'm watching this for the first time, so I didn't know he was going to actually say storage units are better than apartments. It's very marginal.
Having to fight in a red ocean. And the crazy part is, this isn't just possible with self-storage. You don't have to box yourself into a single asset class anymore. The opportunities right now stretch way beyond that, across asset classes that most investors aren't even paying attention to. Take Marcus, for example. Marcus built a brand new flex space development outside of Birmingham.
Now there's a good property. There you go. This would be far superior over what he just described. Flex building like that, far superior over storage. This is a beauty that he's pointing to right here.
Alabama. But he didn't just throw up a metal building and call it a day. He went high-end, brick facade, premium lighting, luxury vinyl plank floors, even cedar overhangs. I mean, come on, look at that. All the details that most developers cheap out on. And because of that, every single bay was leased out in under 2 months. No negotiation on rents, no tenant turnover games. He didn't have to race to the bottom because he built a better product. And now he's pulling top of market rents with virtually no vacancy risk. While everybody else is still wondering why their generic flex buildings are probably sitting empty, Marcus created his own blue ocean. Then there's Ron. Ron's focused on industrial outdoor storage, iOS.
There you go. Both of these examples, outdoor storage, ain't got nothing to rent. You're renting dirt, man. It's beautiful.
Is industrially zoned land, puts up a fence, installs some lighting, and leases it to trucking companies by the month. No fancy build-outs, no complicated construction. At one site, Ron turned a run-down office building and a dirt lot into a cash flow machine, stacking trucks on the yard, leasing maintenance bays, even charging for amenities like tire removal. And because he bought in a fast-growing industrial corridor, that land could easily be worth 2 to 3 times more just within the next few years. Strong monthly cash flow now, massive upside later. It's one of the most overlooked, flexible strategies in commercial real estate today. And then there's Ryan. Ryan was deep in the multifamily game. Dozens of units, constant management headaches, constant turnover. On paper, he looked successful, and he was. But behind the scenes, he was chained to the business until he shifted into triple net investing. Now, instead of babysitting tenants, Ryan owns assets like a corporate AT&T building in Chattanooga where the tenant pays the taxes, the insurance, and the maintenance on the property. All he does is collect checks and occasionally renew a lease. Not too bad. Today,
I feel like he's selling a lifestyle now. He's not really getting into the meat of it, and I'll get into the meat of it. When he was referring to the flex space a little bit ago, one of the beauties about flex space is you deliver a white box. This is what I teach all my students. Anyways, let's keep watching.
his portfolio is worth tens of millions of dollars, and his investments run quietly in the background while he spends more time traveling with his family and living life on his own terms. Ryan's story hits close to home for a lot of investors, because for a long time, Ryan did exactly what he was supposed to do. He built a portfolio of single-family homes. Then he scaled into multifamily. More doors, more tenants, more management, more headache, and at first, it looked like it was working. The unit count was growing, the portfolio value was growing, the revenue was growing, but so were the headaches. He was stuck putting out fires and managing evictions, dealing with maintenance emergencies at at all hours, chasing rents from tenants who were one bad month away from defaulting. And the bigger his portfolio got, the more it felt like.
Yeah, so here's the deal. The smaller you are, the more you have to kind of manage and maintain your own things. In the beginning, when you do it yourself, you just got to do it right. And then at some point, you'll be able to make the leap where you can kind of transition to. First, you got people, you hire people. You hire good, competent people that work for you. I have air conditioning guys. I have, concrete guys, and I'm 90% of their work. I have electricians. I'm 90% of their work. So they don't have to actually be my employees. Believe me, when the phone rings, I'm the first one. I'm the first one that gets served because I'm 90% of their business. And so there's a lot of great things in building your portfolio. And I thought he was talking about the downsides of apartments, and I'll get into that. But he's kind of romancing it a lot by pointing to all these pristine, pretty buildings. And believe me, it's not just as simple as having a great building, make it look good, and fix it. You don't have to do any of that stuff inside. That's the beauty of having a flex space and a retail space. You don't have to do any of the tenant improvements. You give them a nice, decent shell and a secure location. People will come there. They will spend their money. They will spend all their money to make it beautiful inside and out. I just recently did a $75,000 upgrade within one tenant's office, right? And I mean, they paid for it. And it's nice when you see that they're spending so much money. It makes you feel better about the asset. They added additional space and took another 7,000 square feet, which to me, it actually increased their lease to another $1,050,000. We're up to $29,500 a month on that tenant.
His portfolio owned him, not the other way around. That's when he realized that something had to change. He started studying commercial real estate differently, maybe because we had a coffee back in 2018 and I told him that he should be investing in triple net properties instead. So he stopped chasing doors and started chasing better tenants and better deals. Deals where the tenants were businesses, not individuals. Deals where the income was secured by long-term leases, not month-to-month or annual uncertainties. Deals where the buildings could basically run themselves. And that's when he made the pivot into triple net investing. Now let's hear it from Ryan himself.
Hey guys, my name is Ryan Stackhouse. I currently live in South Padre Island, Texas. Tyler and I met in Nashville, Tennessee, where I lived for 10 years. I went from buying single family homes to apartments and then sold all of our apartments. And now we own triple net, absolute net lease, mostly industrial, but we own some medical treatment facilities, doctor's offices, things like that.
At what point did you realize that
Okay, listen, they're talking about triple net, like you just get to hand everything off to the other guy. And it's true to a degree. Sometimes a lot of people don't understand that, when you have a triple net lease, you can pass off, the insurance cost, the taxes, but it's not as simple as, hey, they just doubled your insurance. Hey, tenant, it's your problem. No, that's enough to put your tenant out of business. They can still fold, they can still go under. And believe me, just because they're in a triple net lease, it doesn't mean you're going to get the money. It's not a lot different than tenants in an apartment, right? Like, in other words, what you have over a tenant, whether they rent an apartment from you or a house from you or anything else, it's their credit. They don't want to destroy their credit, right? I remember going in, I was talking to one of my tenants, and this is a third generation company. And I said, look, you know what? I said, they're getting way too aggressive. And I said, I know you're in a triple net. I said, believe me, I'm not passing this on. I'm fighting. I'm taking them to court. And I explained how much it went up, and I just saw his daughter's head just drop because she knew. She knew that number was enough to put them out of business. And so don't think that triple net is a magic word that gets you out of everything, because it does not. Let's keep watching.
Multifamily wasn't going to give you the freedom that you wanted?
I'd say 3 or 4 years in to owning, we were up to like 450 units or so, and I just saw no consistency with it. We started with multifamily with the intent of getting free of the rat race. I had enough equity in these single family residences to trade into apartments or trade into another asset class that would give us, some level of financial freedom. And what I started learning was it was just a glorified single family formula. You'd have years where, sure, profitability was good. And then the next year, got to replace a roof or got to replace many HVAC units or have lots of vacancy. And that year basically wiped out all the NOI from the year before. So we wanted something more stable.
Was there a specific moment or breaking point when you knew you had to make that shift?
I think everybody that's a successful investor will tell you it's pain that makes you change. I got tired of writing checks, for repairs or having vacancies or all the things that come along with apartments. In our triple net and absolute net lease space, they'll send me the invoice, I pay the invoice, and I'm done. It's literally like a 5-minute thing. I'm not dealing with looking at spreadsheets every month to see what did it cost me for the roll-off dumpster this month. It's just vastly different.
How did you discover triple net investing as an alternative to multifamily? multifamily?
You were always talking about, Ryan, you need to start doing triple net, absolute net. You need to do different kinds of commercial. And I was always like, oh, yeah, I hear you, whatever. And I was dead set on apartments just because that's what I had kind of focused my energy and time and money towards. But I started seeing the light after a few years of doing it myself. I'm the type of person, I got to do stuff the hard way. I got to learn things on my own before I'm totally convinced. And I learned pretty.
Yeah, and this is the advantage of having a mentor. So you don't have to learn all that. And listen, I've been doing it for 45 years. And there's some things that are being left out here. Converting your portfolio or getting into commercial or industrial flex space. Every property has its benefits. Every property has, houses have special benefits. Apartments have special benefits. Commercial, industrial, flex space. Everything has, they're different, but they have different qualities. And all can be extremely, extremely good. But I want to, if you hang in here a little bit, I'm going to explain to you really, really one of the most important lessons you need to know about why commercial industrial is so much better than apartment buildings.
Pretty quickly that you were right. The triple net and absolute net lease space, especially industrial, I really love industrial these days, the tenant improvement. So when you own a building and it goes vacant and you get a new tenant that comes in, usually they'll request some sort of tenant improvement budget. I'm finding in the industrial space, that's minimal to nothing. We own an office space down in Mobile, Alabama, and we're finding on that one even, we found a call center, and since it's already set up as an office, we don't need to do any TI. And that tends to be the case on our industrial properties. So I love that. You know, with medical buildings, that is not the case. A lot of times you're paying $250, $300 a square foot to do a TI improvement for a.
No, listen, I don't think he knows enough about medical properties. You don't have to do any of that. Same thing. Any tenant that comes into your property, you don't have to do any tenant improvements. People that pay for tenant improvements, landlords that are paying for a business that probably has a 9 out of 10 chance of failure. You understand that? 9 out of 10 businesses that begin fail. So it is absolutely absurd for anybody to put out money for a new business. You're not their partner. You're not their partner. So let's keep watching.
Surgery center or a doctor's office just to get it all set up for them. And that gets very costly.
What changed in your day-to-day life after switching to triple net investments?
Well, I retired. I'm doing more important work, which is raising my kids. My kids are little, and it's more important to me to spend quality time with them. And I also get to surf almost every day. I get to go scuba diving. I ride my bike. That's the stuff that I'm never going to regret later on when I'm in my 80s, 90s, you know, looking back on my life saying, I wish I would have.
What advice would you give to somebody watching this video who's feeling stuck in apartments right now?
I would say open up your mind, talk to other people that are doing other asset classes like triple net, absolute net, especially in the industrial space. It's a small niche, and I really love that too because there's way less competition than in the apartment world when you're going after a deal. I would say find people that are doing and living the way you want to live and learn from those people because I'm investment agnostic. You show me a better investment, I'm all ears.
What Ryan figured out and what most investors never do is that this game isn't about buying the most properties. Who cares about how many doors?
Yeah, listen, it's quality, not quantity. That ought to be obvious to anybody watching. So listen, there hasn't been a lot of substance in this, to be quite honest. Just talking about things are better, they're better. I'm going to explain to you right now why I'm going to tell you the prime thing, what really sets commercial, what really sets industrial property apart, big time. But this is what really sets it apart from apartments. So I'm going to jump to the whiteboard here real quick. If this is apartments, let's just say this is 20,000 square feet. Okay? Each one of these has a toilet, right? Each one has a toilet. Each one has a kitchen. Now, each one of these has carpet. Each one of these has linoleum, right? In other words, people are living in these things, okay? Now, let's look at the same thing. Here's an industrial building. 20,000 square feet. Maybe it's got a roll-up door here, roll-up door here, and a roll-up door here. It's got maximum. It's got 3 toilets. There's nothing to take care of. There's nothing to break. I'm gonna let you take a look at that. Toilets, carpet, hundreds of thousands of dollars of interior things to do and take care of and maintain. Here, the only thing you have to supply is a clean white box. We call it a white box. A clean white shell and a toilet And that's it. The single thing that really separates the two is that you just have way less shit to take care of. They're almost maintenance free. And then even looking at this image you see right here, now this is an old apartment complex. That's why you don't see any plants or grass or anything else. For an old apartment complex, this actually looks like a really good one that's sitting behind me. The reason I like it, there's no grass. There's no plants. There's nothing to maintain. But every one of these rooms has a toilet, has a bathroom, and it's whatever, 10 tenants here instead of just one big one or 3 decent sized ones. Believe me, just look at the sky.
One overlooked property in a submarket that no one's paying attention to that ends up changing everything. That's the kind of work that we're doing inside the CRE Accelerator. It's not a theory-heavy course. It's not a bunch of fluff or recycled tactics from 2012. It's a step-by-step blueprint paired with real-time coaching from me and feedback from other people who are actually out there doing deals right now. We help you build consistent deal flow, underwrite opportunities the right way, and get into the kind of assets that actually give you back your time, your freedom, and your peace of mind. Just like Marcus, just like Ron, just like Ryan. So if you're ready to stop chasing what's familiar and start buying what actually works, this is your invitation. Click the link below to schedule a call with me to learn more, and let's go find you your first or next.
So nice job. There's a lot of sales in here and a lot of pitching. And I don't know Tyler's experience level. I know he's a realtor. I don't know how much property he owns, but I can tell you, I have a mentorship. Urge you to compare the two. You come to my town and you'll get a tour of hundreds of thousands of square foot of rentals. Okay, these are all things that I own in and around about me. Anything you want to know about, I don't care if it's apartments, industrial, commercial. I've got it all. I tell people I'm one of the only people, only mentor that I know that actually can say you can pick up a rock and throw it either direction and hit one property and keep chucking that same rock and hit tens of millions of dollars of real estate. Been doing it for a long time. And so I'm going to invite you to do the same. Go down to the links below. Go to FlipAnythingUSA.com, but get on my mailing list and you will get a wealth of information. You want to learn how to make millions of dollars in real estate? I've made tens of millions over my lifetime, and I'm showing people how to do it. Get in my free webinar. I have it every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. Go to the link below, FlipAnythingUSA.com/webinar. Sign up for it. You can talk to me face to face if you want. Don't waste any time. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You don't want to miss my channel. I've been doing it for years.